Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Nesting Eagles podcast. My name is Drew. I'm here with my co-host Beth. How you doing, Beth?
Pretty good, Drew.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I am back in Wisconsin and we've been getting hit with some tornadoes. So just missed one, but unfortunately, one of my areas, my old nesting areas, got hit. So I haven't got a chance to get up there, but hopefully everything's good and hopefully everybody's safe. So if you are watching from the Wisconsin area, Sauk area, and some of the places, hopefully you that got hit a couple days ago. Hopefully everything's okay. It's pretty scary, but I haven't heard any serious damage. So I think that's probably a good sign. So
I think they said there were four tornadoes altogether in our area, but I don't know that
yeah,
that would count you because that's Milwaukee news.
yeah.
But
I think there was a couple of them. There was some sort of we were watching the news intently because we were like, oh, we're gonna have to head to the basement, but it kind of went north west of us, so we didn't get hit. But yeah, it seemed like there was this one storm, and for whatever reason, it had the power of it, and it was dropping quite a few tornadoes. So, but then it
the front when
died
that
down.
moved through was incredible. I mean, the
Yeah,
temperature dropped like
yeah,
a good 20 degrees.
yeah. It was impressive. So yeah, it's part of the way moving out to when we were out in the Pacific Northwest. Obviously, not very common there. Just way too wet and way too
That
cold.
was the
Yeah,
Midwestern welcome home, Drew.
yeah, it was. Yeah, but yeah. So I drove cross country. There's not a lot of eagles on the trip, but
No.
I gotta say, we were driving on the highway in Iowa, and we got buzzed by a couple of adult eagles, so kind of greeting me into the Midwest, which was nice. So they were beautiful birds. So um, it's good to see. So hopefully I'll get a chance to get out a little bit before we head back. But yeah, we wanted to do a little update on Trempealeau, and I'll hand it off to Beth. She's actually got a new friend, a new supplier of information for that nest. So that's great. I'll let you talk about it.
Well, for those of you who have been watching a while, there's been quite a pause between 16 and 17, and Drew was traveling. We had some events going on, so but when my husband and I stopped by Trempealeau on our trip back from seeing family, we talked to some people on the street. They said there is a car that's always at this position, which I know they're very intent on watching what's going on over on the island. So I slipped a note to one guy who said he'd slip a note to another guy, and it worked. So we have someone who has been watching the Trempealeau nest this season, and this is one of his photos, and his name is Larry. So we'll refer to him as Larry A, last initial A. So this is Larry's photos that he was kind enough to share with Drew and I and give us permission to share with all of you. But this is the Minnesota Island nest. And so what you're seeing where the arrow is pointing, you are seeing one um, fledgling, and then there is two, and there is three. So there are three birds that hatched out of the Minnesota Island nest. And this is another angle. So you have one, two, and three. And I thought this was curious. Drew and I were talking about this beforehand. Uh, this is Mrs. Minnesota Island, or MNI, as you guys refer to him. And this is Mr. T. And Mrs. MNI is substantially larger looking at this
Yeah,
photo than Mr. T.
yeah. I think usually the typical is like a 20%. That looks closer to 30. But as we were talking off camera, once you get up into that northern U.S. area, there's a good chance that there are some Alaskan bloodlines where Alaska eagles are much bigger. So I wouldn't be surprised if we could do a DNA test for the missus, that she has some sort of Alaskan bloodline in there too, because she's a big girl. That's a good size eagle. So yeah, that's impressive. Or maybe he's a little on the smaller side. I don't know, but
Yeah.
there's definitely a significant size difference, and that was when you showed me the picture. I'm like, oh wow, that's bigger than usual. He comes up to her like shoulders, which is
Yeah, it almost
impressive.
looks like a 40% difference.
Yeah. Though
Um,
he might be I'm trying to see if he might be in a
he's on a
little bit
lower
lower
branch.
branch, so
Yeah,
it's
which
probably a little bit the view
right,
too. But
perception, yeah.
yeah, and thanks to Larry for providing these. It's much appreciated. This has
And
been a
it's nice
very
to see the
interesting.
misses over on the island too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So what we're talking about is called the Bergman's rule. So I had to look it up. I know I've heard it multiple times, but I can never remember the name. So where things get smaller, the closer they get to the equator, Alaskan eagles would be uh, bigger than Florida eagles by quite a bit.
yeah, and it has to do a lot with the cold maintaining their temperature. It's just that a bigger bird can deal with the cold and regulate it more, and work as a heater, a better heating system when it's larger. Yeah, it's interesting stuff to see. When you go down to Florida and you see those birds compared to us, they look significantly smaller. And then if you go up to Alaska, those birds are significantly bigger than what
They're
we have
huge
here.
and they're
Yeah,
everywhere, and
yeah,
you're seeing 20 at a time.
yeah, yeah. So that,
Um, so these were really great for Larry to share with us, and we're hoping Larry will join us at the Bald Eagle Nest Watch program, which Drew oversees the entire thing along with Brenna from Southern Wisconsin Bird Alliance. And I oversee just a small section. I oversee the southeast section. But if Larry were to join us, it would be really nice to have eyes on the ground at Trempealeau so that we can have some on the scene reporting.
yeah,
Um,
and that would be a new county for us too. We don't have a whole lot up in the northern part of the state. We're mostly geared to the southern and central part of the state. But yeah, I think last count, think I think we started the year. I think it was in the 260s of the nets we were
yeah.
monitoring. It's been growing and growing. I think our first year we did about, I think it was about 15 or 16. So
I don't even think you
it's
had that
yeah,
many, Drew. It was
yeah,
really,
no, it
it was
was
tiny.
small. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was mostly out of that our main spot in the Madison area, Dane County and Sauk and Iowa County. And I think we had one in Rock or something. So it was small, but
Yeah.
we've grown leaps and bounds since that. So it's been a lot of fun.
So one of the things that I noticed when I was investigating the Trempealeau nest when we were on our way back from Idaho was that I came across an article that talked about the camera going in at this nest, and it quoted the BENW as saying, "Oh, eagle populations are doing great in Wisconsin. We have over 200 nesting bald eagles in Wisconsin," and that kind of blew my mind because at that time we probably had 1,800 nests.
Yeah.
So we do have, I'm sure, well over 2,000 nesting bald eagles. But because the DNR is no longer doing flyovers, we will never have those kind of big
Yeah.
numbers
Exact
again.
numbers. Yeah.
But Drew and I are planning our next podcast to again, we'll have photos, but we'll have some number crunching to tell you how this season has been working out for us. Overall and in the southeast section where I'm at.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was probably they probably did some quick research on that
yeah,
article and quoted us. At the time we did about 200 nests, but yeah, as you said, it's Wisconsin's one of the richest. I think it's number four
or
in
number
the
three.
or three.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
it all depends on Florida.
yeah,
Florida and Wisconsin are
yeah. We're kind of neck and
sort of
neck with
neck and neck.
Florida. I know Alaska and Minnesota are by far way above us, but yeah, we're
Never gonna
kind of
catch up.
I guess we're number three or four, depending on what you look at. But yeah, that's a very low number. So we'd be very concerned if we only had two in the nest compared to Wisconsin.
Puts us at the bottom of the list,
Yeah,
basically.
that's not good. Yes.
So this is the end of Larry's photos, and then we're gonna go ahead and unless you have anything else on Trempealeau, Drew.
Yeah, I think it's been a fun process, and again,
Yeah.
hopefully we can provide more information through the Nest Cam and through hopefully people on the ground like Larry for next year too. It's going to be really interesting to see how this forms.
Yeah.
Does this become a trio nest, which we have seen here and there, or will they decide to keep the same dynamic, or will there be another male that comes in? It'll be really interesting to see in the off
Well,
season
and
what
speaking
happens.
of another male that comes in, all we can do right now is assume that Mr. T is the father to the three eaglets on the island that we just showed you, as well as TE3, which is in the Trempealeau nest on the mainland. So he had potentially four offspring. He could have had
Yeah.
six. Um, uh, but they, between the three adults, they raised four eaglets to fledge. And again, I'll say, um, Mrs. T did a lot to support the island family and help them to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so a tip of the hat to Mrs. T.
Yeah. I mean, even though she was, only had the one versus the three, she was more involved and kind of was a single parent for a good chunk of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
but very interested to see how this dynamic goes because we don't know a
Mhm.
whole lot about how trio nests form and why they form. So it'd be really interesting, and hopefully if they do this, they pick the Wisconsin side with the cam on instead of the Minnesota. Most
Well, I
likely,
wonder if RRP has any thoughts on putting one up there
yeah, yeah,
next
yeah,
year.
yeah. It'd be interesting to see. So I don't know the lay of the land. I know a lot goes into securing
It's a
these
lot of money.
cams with a lot of funds and also permission and how that works. So yeah, we'll see what they come up
Well,
with, and
maybe
we'll
that's
definitely keep
something
an
we
eye
can
on it.
investigate too, is to see
Yeah,
what their thoughts are on possibly doing something with this nest as well, or getting another camera on the mainland that could
yeah,
focus more directly on it. So,
yeah. That'd be interesting. So yeah. We maybe that's something we can look into as well. We do have a relationship with RRP. Spoken to them a couple times, so yeah, we'll see what we can
and then I just
figure
also
out.
want to say Larry is taking his photos with his cell phone through a scope, and that island is even
Yeah,
with my camera with a long lens, it's
yeah,
hard to get a crisp photo across that
yeah,
body of water. But so thank you again, Larry. We're moving on
yeah.
from Larry's photos to one of my nests that is very close to my home.
Yeah,
And
so let's talk a little bit about post-fledging. So I think we've mentioned this a number of times, and I love this picture. It's so hilarious. Looks like reminds me of a little kid,
totally
in their
got his boots.
boots. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and they're basically like this. They are big kids for a little while at least. So it's fun to watch them. But we're in the post-fledging. I think the vast majority. I don't know if we have any nests that haven't fledged, but there might be a straggler here and there, maybe in some of our northern nests. But most of them have fledged by now, and but they will hang out. Most of the the eagle families will hang out in the nest territory area. I know you had mentioned it's different than past years. This nest doesn't seem too bound to the actual nests. They are in the
Yeah.
nest territory, but they are not frequenting the nest, which is completely different. There are some
Yeah.
that as you know, kind of tie to that nest quite a bit, and then there's others that kind of branch off. It'll
Well,
change as the summer goes along as well.
if we go back to TE3 at Trempealeau, she has branched and spent the night branching, but then she also frequently comes back to the nest. She plays around in the grove of trees there and then will come back to the nest. These guys, once they fledged, there's three of them. I have not seen any of the three at the nest again,
Yeah.
or even branching beside it. They're in a grove of trees, and that's where they spend their time adjacent to the nest. And
Yeah. So
then,
that,
make good use out of a mud puddle.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, they do have personalities, as Beth can attest. Every eagle has personality. There's a lot of personality, and I think that probably where you get that variation. Some of them are just tied to home, kind of like people. Some people are really tied to their home. Others are not. They're out exploring. So you have different personalities with the eagles. So maybe that's a factor too, as far as what they do. So
So this was a nest that I think we've talked about it briefly on here
yeah,
before. These are very solid parents. They have tricks up their sleeves to get their kids out of the nest. Two had fledged, and it took the third one 2 weeks at least
jeez,
to fledge after the first two. And the adults stopped feeding it. They were dropping fish on the grass where it had to leave the nest tree. It was branching a great distance, but it would not use its wings. So the way they finally got it to fledge is by dropping food in the grass, and then it had to fly down to get a meal. And it fledged just last week. So
yeah,
it took this one little stinker a long time to get out of that nest. Um, but this is a very long-term nest. And last year, I had sent Drew some pictures, and some of you may recall us talking about this. But I was perplexed at why a red tail would start building a nest over the top of a bald eagle nest. Because I was watching this stick nest start to develop in the same tree over the bald eagle nest. Well, their nest fell the following week. And those eagles knew their nest was about to collapse, and they were building their new nest over the top of the next section up from their old nest in a white pine. And so it was just amazing to me to watch these eagles take proactive steps to getting their next home up and running. And they had two last year, so one had fledged, the other hadn't, but it fledged with nest collapse last year. So I don't know if this new nest has a new dynamic to it, but none of these three returned to it in the past. They would return to it for food. But I think probably the two adults, because they had the one fledgling stuck in the nest, they didn't want to feed in the nest anymore, uh,
yeah.
just
That
to
makes
keep
sense.
them, you know, uh, using their wings. At least the third one. We always joke that the third one is velcroed into the nest because um, it's never known the nest to be on its own, without two
Yeah,
other
being the
siblings.
young.
Yeah. So when the other two fledged, they're like, hey, I'm getting home food delivery. I've got the whole place to myself. I'm not moving out. This is great. Um,
Yeah, it's got DoorDash and all that, and it's got his
yeah.
parents taking care of him. Why would you leave? That's gonna.
Eaglet DoorDash.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a sweet life if you can get it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's interesting. So what else we got? I know you got some really good pictures, and yeah,
yeah, so this is some enthusiastic bath time. There were two eaglets in the puddle, but I did not get in range in time to catch both of them in the puddle. And again, I have a really long lens, and as you can see, this bird is not the least bit disturbed.
yeah.
It's having a good time, and long lenses are horribly expensive, but boy, do they come in handy when you want to do something
Yeah,
like
and
this.
two things that I just wanted to highlight on this photo too, is you see a really great picture of the larger feathers. So adapting feature that fledglings have is they actually have um, longer feathers than the adults to help them when they're first learning. It kind of, I call them like training wheels. So it helps them to process that and be able to pick up thermals and fly a little bit easier. And you can really see that clear as day in this shot. And also another thing is you don't understand that these guys have been, as Beth mentioned, Velcro to the nest for their entire life. A lot of occurrences, this is their first time actually like seeing water because they
Yeah.
don't they've seen it from a distance, but to actually like touch water, that all these are new experiences for them, and
Yeah.
that's really fun to watch the fledglings to try to fish and to hunt, and and they flying and playing when they're flying and learning how to barrel roll and doing that to a lot of times together if they do have siblings, and then just experiencing water in puddles. They've never done that before because they got all their water from the fish that the adults were bringing in. So it's a fun time and a fun experience to watch these guys kind of
I made me
explore
wonder,
the
did
world.
they watch the adults take a bath, or is it
Probably,
just,
yeah, probably.
yeah?
I would think they did.
But this
Yeah,
one
so
drank quite a bit.
yeah,
It actually drank from the puddle quite a bit before it took a bath too. So
yeah. So it makes it a little bit easier because when you're up in the nest, it's not like it's not like a gerbil nest where they have the little water that they can give them. It's every drop of water they're getting is from their food that the
yeah.
adults are bringing in. So, and then once they're out and about and flying, then they can do that. They can actually drink water and do all that stuff.
So we're gonna stick with the same nest, but I have um been following them around for a little bit, but this just cracks me up right here. This is a turtle, and this turtle had walked right down this pathway.
Oh my god!
And it's walking this way, but it walked right through here, and I was like, "Oh no,
Yeah,
they're gonna get the turtle." And I don't know why I do that because it's perfectly reasonable for them to eat a turtle, but
yeah,
the turtle had just laid eggs, and
yeah.
so
I was headed
um
back to yeah,
yeah, heading back to the lake, and these two were just sitting there. So that's Dad with one of the three eaglets, but
yeah.
um
I think that the turtle probably hit it during they're not hungry, so it doesn't really matter if I
right.
was to guess. So that's a lucky turtle.
And
um,
it was just nonchalant. It walked right between the two
yeah,
of them.
that's so funny. That's hilarious.
The things you see when you're monitoring
Yeah,
bald eagle nests, you just never
yeah,
know. So this was one of the three. So Dad and the one bird were sitting there with the turtle, and the other one had some fish, and it was on the ground going through it. So I just thought this was kind of a fun picture of it.
yeah. You can
Again,
do.
long lens and heavily cropped photos.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful picture. Yeah, nice work.
So on this night, I actually had a little help with two buddies named Ethan and Benny, and we were able to capture all three eaglets together. So my great nephews got a big kick out of seeing all the eaglets, and that was a lot of fun. And
Yeah,
I kind of love this picture. I don't do Photoshop, but this is a picture that I would like to Photoshop to
yeah.
just the way the tree is woven around all three eaglets is.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah, and to see them, and I know you've talked about this tree. This is kind of one of their favorite spots too, if I remember correctly.
This is the
Um,
fledging tree, and it's
yeah,
like when it gets dark out and people are gone from the park or the area, then the three of them like to roost in the tree together because they have sight lines to one another, and
yeah.
um,
And this
it's
brings up a point too, is especially if you have a nesting eagles in your area. I would think twice before cutting down trees like this. This tree is obviously not doing well. It's dead.
oh, it's dead.
Yeah, but
That's a different
they
tree behind it.
yeah, but a lot of animals, including eagles, utilize these types of trees. So
Yeah.
something to keep in mind. It's not it's not the prettiest tree, but it's kind of cool looking, and
Yeah.
it's probably got a number of animals utilizing it too, not just the eagles.
And woodpeckers, I mean, woodpeckers love this tree.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
But as you know, Drew, when you're in a fledgling and you're a big bird, you're a raptor, you're always going to get attacked.
Yeah, yeah. That's our friend. If you watch what was it? It was the last. Yeah, it was the last
It
episode.
was the last episode. That was a
Yeah,
great, that was a blue-gray gnatcatcher.
yeah, yeah. And
This is a
it's
king bird. Yeah.
you can kind of read the eaglet's mind, like, what is this thing doing? Just leave me alone. It's just
So this is there's just a quick series of three. So yeah, the I think in this one what was it? The first one, the nictitating eyelids were closed. This is so small on my screen. No, no, what was this last one?
yeah. I think it was the last one. Yeah, it's that one.
So again, eagles have a third eyelid that they can actually see through, but when they're eating or drinking or when something like this happens, they shut that nictitating eyelid so that their eye is protected in case
Yeah,
the bird were to whap it with a wing or, try to, take a foot to the eye or something. Its eyeball is protected
yeah.
with the dictating lens. So I wish I had them. I think that that'd
They'd
be
be
great to
useful.
have.
They would be useful. Yeah.
Um,
I guess that's why we have goggles. For
yeah,
It's
yeah.
basically what that is. So yeah,
So yeah, landing on his head. It's just, and there's two of them, and you can see the kingbird up
yeah,
above on the left, and it just kept coming down and pelting it. So getting all three in a photo is not easy. And this was pretty late at night. This was getting I think we might have been after 8 o'clock, and the adults were coming in a little sooner than that, and we were gonna leave just because we were not going to be able to see anything much
yeah,
longer. So the photos, I've lightened them up so that they're better viewable. But I mean, it was getting pretty dark out.
yeah,
Um, and this is one of the parents coming in with a fish. I think that's might be dad. And I think the fish was a walleye. It was a big fish. Well, and
yeah.
then the
You
other
can kind of
adult,
see yeah, I could see that where it's a walleye. You can kind of see that
the
walleye's got
gray.
that grayish part of it. Yeah,
Yeah, it was an unbelievable fish. Um, they started to fly in and they both flew in at the same time, and then all, three
yeah,
young just go off and they just go crazy. And he flew, of course, to the snag tree, which from where I caught him to the snag tree, and you can tell which eaglet got the prize
yeah.
because um
The,
it is mantling over the
yeah,
food so that no one else can touch his fish, and his sibling is standing there begging for it and begging for a bite, and one of my great nephews is like, "Well, that's not fair." It's
yeah.
like
It's not. Yeah,
I'm sure another fish is coming in shortly for
yeah,
the others, but just squawking its head off, that it was its fish, and you can see how big it is. This is the head of the fish,
oh yeah, and that's a
and
tail.
there's the tail.
Yeah, wow, that's a good sized fish. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
should
like, I'm not sure how much that fish had to weigh. I mean,
yeah,
it was impressively large. So, I'm always excited when I catch pictures like this. I do not know my fish very well, but
yeah,
so this was just a couple of them all together, and then the adult flew off. The other one flew in and started to beg for some food of its own. And I like this picture. I wish we could see the head of the one mantling. Um, but this tree, I just think just affords so many cool angles. I mean,
yeah,
this just totally looks like, either a bird foot or
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
some cool, you know, apocalyptic hand or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Um, so this nest is one they're still there. We haven't gone back in. um, to look at them, but I can hear them, so I go by and just check to see if they're still around. But I'll go out one day this week and see what else they're up to, and capture some more photos for next week.
That's,
Um, but it's fun to kind of hang with an eaglet family. You know, you kind of want to join in, but you keep your distance and
yeah,
let them do what they need to do, feed their young. You don't want to interfere in the process. But I'll say, Drew, this is something I'm bad at. I mean, I can usually see an adult and determine whether I think it's male or female, but Ken and I were going around and around and around on this. Because, you know, we were assuming maybe the third one left in the nest was a female because it was taking, you know, she
yeah,
was the third and they're take a little longer sometimes to get out of the nest, but I have no gut instinct on this. Sometimes the torso seems really long, and I think female, and then but
yeah,
the talons aren't that big. One of the things we learned earlier this year at one of your nests was when they were banded and they were being tested for plastics in the water, pollutants in the water. Was that the female talons are substantially larger at an
yeah.
earlier age than the males and always stay larger. Um, and sometimes when we're in instances like this, I can't really tell, you know, whose talons look bigger and which would be more impressive being male or
Yeah,
female.
it's hard to tell. And I mean, from that last picture with the male in the picture, I mean, the two top ones look like females. I'm not sure on the bottom one too, as you said. That's the last one. I'm assuming the one on
Yeah,
the
last
bottom is
photo.
probably the last one to fledge. That might be a male, but again, it's hard to see. And again, they're fluffed up too,
Right.
in the excitement. So they do look larger, and as I mentioned before, they do have larger feathers. Um, so it does make the size difference. Yeah, again, it is a little tricky to tell. It's not super clear whether maybe you have three females, maybe you have.
Yeah. And it's not like it's a
Yeah,
science, you know, where
yeah,
I mean, some people are a little bit better at determining it than not. I have when they're young, it's harder for me to tell. You
yeah,
know, I can't, getting all three lined up. It's like, can you show me your right talon? Can
yeah,
you show me your left talon? You know, it would
yeah,
be nice
yeah,
to be able to do that, but you know, they're not going to comply. So, and it doesn't really matter, and we can't say with certainty anyway.
yeah.
But it is hard sometimes to try to identify which you think are female and male.
Yeah, and it's not cut and dry. Actually, a shout out to my the shirt I
Yeah.
had. This is from the New York Audubon. I know there was actually a nest that's a long time nest in New York on the Hudson River, and unfortunately, one of them did pass away. And they actually did, they did testing on it and whatnot,
Necropsy.
and they were surprised to find out. I can't remember if it was the male or the female that passed away, but it was a smaller bird, and I think it was a smaller bird. And it actually ended up being the female. So all
Hmm.
through the years, this nest had been active for probably a dozen years, if not longer. And they had always thought the male was and it was actually the flip flop. It was the smaller one was not the male; it was the female. So it was interesting to see that. So it's not 100%. We use that um, as a reference. We can't run DNA tests. We can't do all those tests, but there are some variants too, for sure.
It it, it's it's just a curiosity. You know, they have to be roughly 50, you know,
Yeah,
male to female, born and raised. And I remember you telling me one of the things that you found most interesting about bald eagle pairs is when you really can't tell them apart
yeah,
because their size difference is very similar. This nest, it's a pretty good disparity. She
yeah,
is substantially larger than he is. And you know, if the nesting behaviors are true, then, you know, she is the one that is doing all the incubating initially. So you can try to tell it apart that time at that point. But yeah, young ones are trickier for me to be able to determine. but I just enjoy them. So I'll get
Yeah.
some more pictures of these
Yeah.
guys coming up in the following weeks. But and if Larry has something new for us at Trempealeau, hoping he'll share it. And I know he was following baby TE3 around, and she was getting bolder with venturing a little further out in her nest, so her nest area,
Yeah.
the group of trees that form that nest area.
Yeah. So, and if any of our listeners have, photos they want to send, again, nesting eagles podcasts at gmail.com. You can also link us on YouTube, comments, likes. We really appreciate that. Again, subscribe if you're not. We're trying to get that push for 500 subscribers. We're getting close. I don't know. I don't know. Last we were up in the 350s or
I
higher, but
haven't. Well, we're
yeah,
beyond that. I know where we're
yeah.
up. Yeah. So one of the funny things that happened here when we were watching the Eagles is one of the birds that were picking on the eaglets had a hold of the back of one of the eaglets' heads, and the eaglet took off, and that bird was taking a ride on the eaglet,
Yeah.
and my nephew yelled out, "That bird's riding the eagle!" And it's funny when other people see that stuff for the first time, and it's like, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
This is not uncommon. Um, but the bird was actually like attached to the back of the eaglet's head, so it was it's just. I wish I had videoed that moment because
Yeah.
that was pretty
Cool.
priceless. But um, yeah, it's when you're an apex predator, nobody wants you living in their neighborhood.
No, no, it's eagles are bad neighbors unless you're a little bird. And actually, this bird
This
probably
bird has
doesn't
nothing
know.
to worry about.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's actually these eagles are probably helping it too because there's not going to be a lot of coopers or other birds that would prey on this bird that want to go through. They'll
And
they'll
it's a
stay out.
snag tree, so these guys
Yeah,
aren't nesting in this tree. They were nesting a
yeah,
couple trees away, and it's like you're giving yourself away.
yeah,
Um, but there were in the old nest before it fell, there were definitely smaller birds living in the nest
yeah, yeah.
along with the eaglets.
That's one of
I
my
don't know
favorite
that
things I've seen. The
I
built-in
don't know
nest
about
in the
this nest
nest.
now. I have to check on it to see if I see any little birds coming out of it.
It's amazing what comes out of those nests. From what I've heard from the climbers, it's very stinky and there's just
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff in there. So,
Yeah. So I
but
think that's it for this episode. But
yeah, thank you. Yeah, as I said, subscribe, like, and tell some friends if you have people that really like eagles, eagle nesting. Spread the word because we're going to keep going and we'll have some more episodes. Kind of a wrap up, as Beth had mentioned, of the Bald Eagle Nest Watch next week, and then we'll probably do some fun, different things, and hopefully have some guests, lining up some guests. So that'll be interesting to do that. To, eagle lovers and eagle groups that we have networked with. So that'll be fun as well. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you
and
for joining us. And
I'll have photos every week, hopefully.
yeah,
So
yeah, and Beth always Beth and Ken do a great job for photographing their eagles. So we'll always have that. So appreciate it and thank you and have a great week.